Welcome to the Child Care Director's Chair, the podcast for bold educators who are ready to lead, grow, and shake things up in early childhood education. Whether you are a teacher eyeing that lead role, a lead stepping into leadership, or a center owner dreaming big, this is your space to grow with purpose and leave your mark. Hosted by heart-centered leadership coach Erica Sacoccio, each episode brings you real talk, actionable tools, and a contagious laugh or two, all designed to help you step into your next level with confidence. So pour your coffee, pop in those earbuds, and take your seat, because your leadership journey starts right now in the Child Care Director's Chair.
Hey guys, it's Erica here, and you are tuned into the Child Care Director's Chair podcast. Thank you so much for always tuning in. I love my listeners. Today we're going to talk about ripping off the Band-Aid. And I'm so excited because I have a guest today. I've been doing so many of these shows solo, especially with the last couple months with the conference. I kind of just been recording when I can, but I'm super excited to have a guest today. We are going to be joined with Dr. Cheryl Hovey.
Close. Hovey, but that's good. It's all right.
Is it Hovey?
Hovey.
All right. Closer than last time.
Yep.
So, guys, I want to say this. There comes a point in leadership where comfort starts to feel like limitation, where you've worked and the work that you're doing, it still matters, but the space you're doing it in starts to feel a little too small for the vision that you're carrying. And if you ignore that feeling long enough, it doesn't go away. It actually gets louder until one day you realize you're not being called to do less, but you're called to do it on a larger scale, expand. And today, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about moving beyond your 401, if you're like my friend here, or 508 zip codes, and trying to build something that outgrows the room that you started in. And that's what this conversation is about. So I'm joined today with my friend Cheryl. You probably know her if you were at the Early Childhood Empowerment Conference. She's a leader, she's an educator, she's a builder who is not just serving the early childhood community, but greater impact is coming, and we're so excited for it. So welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So for those of you who don't know, she's very spontaneous. Just like me. I called her about maybe 15 minutes ago via Instagram. I'm like, hey, you doing anything? She's like, no. I said, you want to hop on a show? She said, sure. So we're not fully scripted. It's kind of just going to be the way the conversation goes. And with the two of us, who knows where that might lead. But, I really think that there comes a certain time when you come to a certain age where you kind of just say, I'm just going to do what makes me happy. I'm just going to do the thing. I don't really care what other people have to say. We've already proven to ourselves and the rest of the world that we can do the things we set out to do. And now it's just really more about just doing the things that you really love and enjoy. So she has really started to do some new exciting things in her practice. So let's talk a little bit about that, Cheryl. Cheryl, let's talk about, like, what was the time that you started to have that shift, right? Because most leaders don't wake up and decide, hey, I think I'm going to go national. I think I'm going to travel the world. Like, we don't just wake up. That's like a something that just eats at us a little at a time. So talk a little bit about it.
So, first I thank you. I love your listeners, love the podcast. And I never turned down an opportunity to share the vision, share the passion. So I started out many years ago when I first started and realized that there was a need for infant toddler trainings. And one of my first sessions was, and I look back now and say, oh my goodness, I feel bad for whoever attended that one, but it was you can choke on a Cheerio. And it was mainly because there was just never enough infant toddler trainings. And then we, move on, and I got a full-time, went back to school, got a full-time job, just completed my doctorate. I was my mom's caregiver, that kind, sadly my mom passed away. But then I said, you know what, now I got to start kind of putting the time and energy back into Cheryl. And what's my passion? What's my joy? Why am I here? And so through that, it actually morphed into one of the sessions that is probably it's so outside of my comfort zone. It's probably one of my most popular sessions that people have actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, we want you to come and we want you to do this. We think it's beneficial for our staff." And kind of morphing from just doing, not just, but holding trainings to more of a keynote, which is sending more of a message, right? Or it's kind of trying to be inspirational. I don't want to use a life coach, right? Because I am far from that. But is so kind of taking my trials and tribulations and realizing that so many people have walked in the same path, with whether it's being a caretaker, whether it's being in toxic relationships, whether it's not filling your own cup, whether it's, whatever that path is that took you there. But some people are not really good in education. We tend to just keep giving and giving and giving and not really returning back to ourselves. So I really set forth a focus this year through doing some intentional goal setting, with saying, you know what, I'm gonna focus on that this year. So I started filling out more RFPs for conferences than I normally do. And you have to be very diligent setting up your calendar, and who's doing it on the same day, and if there's travel involved and all these other things. Um, who else is presenting? So I've already presented. I went to Wisconsin. I went to West Virginia. I presented for an organization in Canton. I just presented for the Mass Head Start Leadership Association. I did one for the YMCA of Nashua and Merrimack, New Hampshire. I did the empowerment, just most recently, very fresh off the press, just did the Fabulous Empowerment Conference, where I met so many new faces, because sometimes being in this local area, we see the same presenters all the time. And it was really refreshing to meet so many people from outside of your normal network. And then I'm taking some rest this summer, and then hitting the fall with the conference circuit again, presenting in Connecticut at the Connecticut AEYC in September. And then I'm awaiting to hear back from some of the other ones that we submitted with. Another super exciting thing was I use Holly Bruno's. My full-time job is I'm a professor, but I connected with Holly Bruno because I'm using her textbook. And we said, why don't we co-present at Erica's session? I'm like, sure, great. Now, if you know Holly, she doesn't really train or set up her sessions the same way that a lot of people do. And we were literally meeting in the hallway right before we were getting ready to speak. And she's like, well, you know this, and I know this, and I'll do this, and you prompt me with that, and rock and roll, here we go. Right. So it was very interesting, very interesting. But I think some of your best growth, or most important influential growth, comes from being challenged. So that was very interesting and a challenge for me. And we also submitted for the NAYC conference in Washington. So I'm very excited to hear if that proposal got accepted. And then through my work with the Mass AEYC, I had sat on their conference committee for several years. And then terming off, I said, you know what? I'm always planning somebody else's conference. And then seeing Erica do such a great job last year and then making it bigger and better this year, I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do it. So I am hosting my first conference on October 3rd this year, and I'm super excited about it.
And you should be. When you say, when you tell your story, and there's so many educators that really resonated with it. When I heard your story at our conference, I literally could have just plucked out your name and put in mine. I mean, shy of the PhD, but I'm still in school. Shy of earning the PhD, which, by the way, congratulations. That is a huge accomplishment. Shy of that, but still being a student. All of it was the same. Like I had a different yearning to just kind of do more things. I felt like I too was on a board of an AUIC, and I'm like, oh, I've been doing this 6 years. Like, I just felt like I had given what I could give there, and maybe it was best to use my talents in a different way. Um, and then having an ailing parent who then passed. I mean, so much the same. And some of
Yep.
it I think too is, the age, once we come to a certain age, we're empty nesters or we become grandparents and you start to look back and go, wow, for the first time in a very long time, my life belongs to me again. And
Yep.
you start being very reflective, not only in your practice, but in your personal life. And I think there's so many of us seasoned folks out there who are in that spot right now. It says, I'm not quite done and I want to leave my mark. And
Yep.
what does that look
Yep.
like? And of course, traveling.
And it's hard because nobody tells you, or nobody, when you're, you go to high school and then your next path is, is college, and then it's getting a job, and then it's building a family or doing whatever. But then you kind of start to, like, there's not really, and depending on your network of colleagues and your friendship network, um it can be different, right? And I have a great group of friends who I adore, and we just recently last year said, we had a couple of friends that, or colleagues and friends that had passed away, due to an illness or whatever, and we said, guys, we have to, stop doing the doom scroll, and we have to start making a conscious effort to get together. And we started making a goal of every month we would do something. We've done something as simple as just getting together and watching Michelle Pfeiffer's new movie and doing like a movie night at my house, to going and staying overnight at a friend has a lake house, or we made, I don't know, arm knitting blankets or whatever. That was just a fiasco. That was not calming whatsoever. Um, but we've just, it's just the fact of getting together. Like, I honestly really, we made a resin tray, and I joke with them, and I was like, I'm not a really big crafty person. I know I'm in early childhood, but I'm not crafty. And I'm like, one of you guys is, I'm regifting this to one of you guys for Christmas or something, because this is not staying in my house. So, but making that conscious effort and realizing like they're your support, right? Like, you need those cheerleaders to say, Cheryl, you can do it, right? And then when I had conversations with you right before, getting ready to plan the conference, and sometimes you don't see in yourself what others see in you. And I was just really floored that when, I did this first training, and then the evaluations came in, and I was like, wow, I thought it stunk, right? And I was like, well, you guys loved it. I was like, all right, wait a minute, right? So, and then it's like, well, imagine if I really enjoyed it, right? And then it was, but making it real and talking about it and giving people, what are some strategies that you use, or what are some things that you use that got you, you're never over it, right? You have to go through it. You can't go around it. It's like the, we're going on a bear hunt song, but you can reach out to your network. But you have to find out what's going to work for you, right? And for me, it was protecting my peace, and it was setting healthy boundaries, and not feeling selfish about it, not apologizing for saying no. So when I say no, and it's not negative to say no. It's not, it's okay. But we become this society where we're like, oh, I'm sorry. No, you know what? I'll just do it. Just give me one more thing on my plate. And then we just, the protecting your pieces before you hit the wall, right? It's before you get to burnout. Because once you get to burnout, then that's a whole different set of, stuff that you have to do. So I found that, and I'll use this example, is there was someone that, we kind of had like a little, we'll just say a little falling out. And so I was at a conference, and I had put out some of my, I don't want to really say not a negative falling out. We didn't get into like, high school fist fight in a parking lot or anything, but our leadership styles did not align. And I thought it was best for me to just move on. So I was at a conference, and I had put out some of my flyers, and this person sent me a text message and said, oh, I saw your flyers. I'm really glad you're here. And I knew what was happening, but I'm not ready, right? I'm not there yet. So I could have just engaged, and then I would have just started that whole cycle again of like, then after I got done going back and forth with 18 text messages, I would have felt like crap again. I would have been like, oh my God, I just like totally went like, this is not bringing me joy. Like, I don't want to get involved with this again. And so I didn't, though. And I said, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not ready to give this space yet. Enjoy the conference. Ended it. And then she responded and she's like, well, I just want to let you know that da da da. And I'm like, that's okay. Enjoy the conference. I hope you have a great session. Enjoy the conference. And it really just ends it. And after I did that, I'm not gonna lie, like I sat back and I was like, did I really just do that? Oh my God. Like it doesn't just happen overnight. It takes work. And you have to start with baby steps. And but it was such a good feeling to say, like, I just prevented what I know would have made me feel guilt, like, all right, here we go. And I was just like, oh my God, I even like reached out to my therapist and I was like, you're going to be so proud of me. Like, I set my boundary, I stuck to it, I felt great about it. And it really did, it made a difference. And it's not to say, like, I mean, I'm not going to do it, like you have to, I don't want to say be selective, but it comes a time when you need to stop saying yes to everything just because you feel like a need to be a people pleaser, or just keep saying, like, you know what, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done right, or I'm just going to keep taking more on my plate. And just really saying, like, nope, it's not going to work for me. Like, I'm sorry, I can't give it time, or I'm not sorry, I'm just saying I can't give that time right now, but I can definitely meet with you on Thursday at 2:00.
Yeah. I think the other thing when we're setting boundaries, I always think of it like this. When you say no to something, it just allows you time and space and energy to just say yes to something that you really want to do, right?
Yep.
So I don't feel bad about the no to the things I don't want to. But
Yep.
sometimes it's not even a thing or a task. Sometimes, like you said, it's people who drain your energy, and you have to be aware
Yep.
of people who drain your energy or who are negative. And being around the right people and the right circles so important, and that's why I love my Trailblazer group. Which you had the wonderful privilege to meet
Yep.
some of those people, and they're rock stars in their own right, and we get together every Wednesday. And we pour into each other because we know the outside
Yep.
world isn't pouring into us. So we are very intentional in pouring into each other. So, I think a
Yep.
lot of leaders stay stuck because they either lack the vision, or because they stay so attached to the version of success that they know, and they get afraid to make a change or a shift. Like you say, sometimes it's scary ripping off that band-aid, right? So
Yep.
for you, what was the thing that it was? So you said you saw what I was doing, and then you said, I
Yep.
could do it myself, which you probably have been
Yep.
thinking about doing it yourself for a while.
Yep, I did. I saw your conference, and then, like you said, Kate Basian had. She's like, Cheryl, I really think that, um, it would do you, a wealth of greatness to connect with Erica. And I think we connected before the conference, maybe about something about the CDA or something like that. And so then, she had told me that you had hosted your first conference last year. And then I said, all right, and, connected on all the social media platforms and stuff. And then I said, like, and then after talking to you, I was like, wow, this is someone that, like, I, excuse me, I really align with. So let's start chatting. And then, just looking at the not the same format of a typical conference that you go to. And, what made it so successful was, I think, one, the format fit the population that you were serving, the having people that are not traditionally in this area. Like I was saying, like it's getting outside of your network, right? And it's so beneficial to, like, I started presenting at University of Whitewater probably 15 or 16 years ago. And then I went to the WICA conference and met it was in Madison, met some people. And then now they're on my Instagram, and we joke because I met them at breakfast. So they call themselves the Breakfast Club. And they literally came up to the conference this year. They're on my Instagram. They messaged me. I just came back from vacation and they were like, "Oh, we stayed, like we went to Punta Cana too." It's just like it's so funny that I'm like, "Oh my God, do I have like groupies? Do I have fans?" I'm like, "Oh my God." I'm like, this is hysterical to
Well,
me. So
yeah.
it's just
Well, you are
it's
too. I
great
mean,
because
you're gonna
like,
have people that follow you. Um,
right?
yeah, that happened to me in Texas. One of the first conferences I went to, and the lady came up to me and she's like, "Oh my God, you're the girl from YouTube," and I was like, "That'd be me." And
That's
then there was
awesome.
another one. We were sitting at a restaurant, and I was talking to Shay, and she turned around and she goes, "Oh my God, I know that voice." She goes, "Wait," and she pulled up her phone. She goes, "Is this your podcast?" I said, "Yes." Both of those things happened in the first hour that I was in Texas. So you're
Yep.
definitely
And
gonna get those people
yep.
following you around for sure.
And I think too is when we were saying like rip off the band-aid is I had a conversation with I forget her, I cannot pronounce her last name, but Dr. Kim from Delaware, Maryland, Delaware. Trying to think. And so we had some adult beverages in the lounge one of the nights after the conference. I literally got done presenting, ran up to Trader Joe's. She was prepping for her keynote the next day, and then we met up in the lounge and had, she was there with a colleague, and we started we started chatting, and I had seen some of her Instagram posts, and I was like, one area I can stand up in front of, 5,000 people. I don't get nervous, don't care, doesn't bother me at all. I love it. It's exhilarating. It's like an adrenaline rush. I get the best night's sleep after a conference when you present because you're just so, I don't know what it is, but so I was asking her because one area that I've not delved into is not only podcasting but is filming myself on like Instagram. So I'm chatting with her and I'm like, "You do all these like car chats and like what's your setup? Like did you buy like, a special light or a microphone or like what do you do? What do you use to edit it?" She's like, "Girl, I went to the dollar store and bought this like windshield or whatever it is, magnetic phone holder. And I just get in and I hit record and I go." And she's like, "And that there's no like," and I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Yep, absolutely." And I'm like, "No way." So I posted my first, it was absolutely horrible. I posted my first little car chat the other day. I was heading to meet my daughter before I was leaving to go on vacation. And I was like, "You know what? I'm just going to do it." So I do need to work on it and perfect it. And I've promised myself that this summer that is going to be, now that I'm not, I'm kind of on a break from teaching as much, is I'm going to work on doing that.
Yeah. I think it is as simple as she makes it too. They don't got to be fancy. You just got to have
So,
good content that people resonate with, and they
yep.
care less what you're filming and on. So
Yep.
let me ask you this. Let's talk a little bit about the training company that you've had, right? So
Sure.
talk a little bit about Easy Ed to Go for a minute.
So, I started, I was a single mom and, I hope the IRS isn't listening to me, but, everything's legit. So as a single mom, I was talking about that I was doing these trainings and this and that. And a friend of mine who's an accountant said, "Cheryl, you should really, create it, even if you do it as a DBA, is you should make it a business because then you can use it as a tax write-off when you go to these trainings and travel and stuff." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yep, you can use your home office, you can do this." And I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "All right." I'm like, "Score." So I started, so the Easy Ed is like easy education to go. So I do trainings and conferences, presentations, keynotes. I also write courses for CEUs, looking at, you know, I usually take advantage of any training opportunity I can. So I'm in the process of also becoming, I have to finish up my modules, but I'm becoming a playmaker through Life is Good, the Playmaker Project. So I'll be able to train and present on that, which is near and dear to my heart. It's using play to overcome trauma, especially in children. And then I took the deeper dive into trauma training series, 6 module training series from Massachusetts. So looking at marketing some of that and putting into, I've done online courses where, you kind of click through, but nothing, especially coming out of COVID, nothing beats being in person. And we're a relationship field. So I understand you have to meet your annual hours and you got to do some things like that. But nothing beats being in person and having people coming up and chatting with you after, or, reaching out to you after and saying, hey, can you come and talk to us about this? Or, whatever it is, there's nothing like an in-person conference. Even one of my things is like, when at lunchtime is I'll grab a plate of food and I'll just like sit at a table where I wouldn't normally sit, right? Or I might, there's an empty spot and I just ask, do you mind if I sit there? And we just start chatting about things, and then you connect on different things. And then they're like, well, have you ever thought about training on this? Have you ever thought about training on that? And, and that's how honestly, some of my trainings or sessions have kind of come about. And then, like we were saying, the planning for the conference, like what's my vision for that? What does that kind of look like? Starting small for the first one, seeing how it goes, learning my lessons, because I'm sure there will be several. But on the side, I was previously, because we know early childhood feeds your soul, not your wallet, is I was a bartender, and I did functions at West Valley Inn in Rhode Island. And I used to tell brides, like, stop freaking out because nobody knows how today is supposed to go except for you. So, we could be doing a session and, someone could ask a great question, something could, come up. And that's the spontaneity of when I was working with Holly that I appreciate. And it helps me become a better speaker, presenter, because you sometimes have to have the ability to pivot, switch, things happen. PowerPoints don't work, microphones don't work, whatever it is. And you have to have that ability to still provide a quality session for people that are in your audience or whatever, that are coming to see your presentation. And then the other is make it real, make it applicable, and make them laugh.
Yeah. Or cry.
Or cry. Exactly.
Make them
Right.
feel something. Make them
Right. I
feel
did a
something.
session. I did a session. I think it was West Virginia. And I was asking them, I said, I finished my doctorate, and our society, not to get off on a pet peeve, but our society doesn't, my friends all value I got a doctorate, and it's great. And I did it for myself, not for anyone. But listen, I like a party, right? I wanted, like, balloons in the sky. I wanted the plane sky rider to go above. I wanted someone to come and flock my front yard with penguins or seagulls or something. And society doesn't, right? They're like, oh, great, you got your doctorate. Here's a handshake and more work to do. And they don't give you a little gun and you go to Crate and Barrel and you get to register for getting your doctorate, right? But, to find out if you're having a boy or a girl, you get to. And so I'm like, our society is void of that, right? Like it's a big milestone. I think we should start a doctorate registry, or any graduate, bachelor's, associates, whatever, you should be able to register. So I asked someone, I said, do you know what was missing when I got my doctorate? And someone in the crowd said, your mom. And I was like, oh, wow, I was just talking about a party, but I was like, they got like really deep. And I was like, well, yeah, I kind of wish my mom was there too. But I was like, my mom kind of had like dementia. We used to call her Crazy Train. I said, and she used to laugh when I told her I was getting my doctorate, because she's like, Cheryl, you don't like needles. And I'm like, Mom, not that kind of a doctor. And I'm like, she just never fully understood what a doctorate meant for me. And she just thought I was lying to her. But I was like, wow, you guys got really deep. I said, I just wanted to have a party. And they're like, oh, okay. But it was kind of funny when, I'm talking about joy, and they happen to bring that up. And I was like, oh, I didn't really think about that. But yes, I would like to have my mother there. But yeah. So it's I think it's being real and being honest with them. And I kind of changed the way that I present. So I have this saying, milk spoils, babies don't. Having it trademark, copyrighted, whatever you want to say. So I put it on. Someone told me I made it into a sticker, and someone at one of my sessions saw it, and they, my daughter said the same thing. She's like, "Mom, you got to put that on a t-shirt." And I'm like, "Really?" So, I played around with Canva and I threw it on a t-shirt, and red is my color of my company. So I put it on a red t-shirt. I bought red Adidas sneakers, and that's what I wear to conferences. And now people will come up, they're like, "Hey, you're the milk spoils late." And I was like, "Oh wow, that is my little thing." So with the business, so through Easy Ed to Go, that's where I do all of my trainings, my consulting. Um, I travel all around. I met some people at a conference to potentially go down to Boca. I'm actually almost full this year, and booking into 2027. And I really, I take care, and I won't just take a training because someone calls me. It has to be a good fit because I want to make sure I'm serving the agency's needs and someone else's. And if I don't feel like I am a good fit, whether it's because of topic or I'm booked, is I have, great colleagues I can refer it out to, and say, "You know what, I'll connect you with this person." And it's not really as cookie cutter as like, "Oh, I have one size fits all fee." It really, I like to be able to adjust it, work with an agency, and make sure that, both sides are going to be happy, and that, um, it meets both of our needs. So then when, in thinking, like I was saying, is that through Easy Ed to Go, I said, "You know what? I can run a conference sponsored by Easy Ed to Go. Why not?" And then I mentioned it to a couple of people, and they're like, "Yep, we'll help you. We'll join you. We'll do this. We'll do that." Um, and so kind of, and I love planning them. So I said, "You know what? Why do for somebody else what you can do for yourself?" And I got tired of some of the same old, always having the little market or niche on it. And I said, I'm gonna run with it, see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I love your story. So, as we start to wrap up, what would be three pieces of advice you would give to one of the listeners now who's maybe at that point in their career where they're like, I want to do it. If Erica can do it, and Cheryl can do it, and everybody else can do it, and they can rip off the Band-Aid and do it. Give them a couple pieces of advice.
All right, my first one would say is, before if you have or if you haven't, before you embark on any like grandiose ideas of like education or whatever, is start forming your network, build it up, reach out to people, connect with people. Don't be afraid if they're not going to serve you, like if it's not a good fit, that's fine. But really, because your support system is going to be key to your growth. I have people that send me RFPs all the time, and they're like, "I think this conference is great. I think this is great." I send it to them. And then it's really, I personally feel that so build up your network, work collaboratively and not competitively. Um, and then my other piece of advice is try to pick a topic or a subject or content that you can resonate with, and that is something that you're passionate about, because that's going to come through in your trainings. It's not, I'm very passionate about brain development, toxic stress, trauma, temperament, attachment. And then this whole leadership thing on finding your joy and filling your own cup and being reflective in your practice. And so I think, like I said, working collaboratively, building up your network, and then also picking topics that you are comfortable and passionate about presenting on or talking about.
Those are great. Those are great, great, great tips. I think I love number one is definitely probably my favorite. We have a little joke that says Erica collects people, and I definitely do. When I go in
Yep.
a room, I find the people who are my people, and I make sure I hold on to them. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for listening to the Child Care Directors Chair podcast. If this episode resonated with you, share it with another director. Make sure you follow us, give us a review. Again, my mic is your mic, and this podcast is about all of us. So thank you as always for tuning in, and have a great day. Cheryl, no, go.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Child Care Director's Chair, where we believe leaders aren't born, they're grown. If something sparked for you today, share it, shout it out, or pass it along to the next bold changemaker in childcare. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and stay connected with Erica Sacosio for more real talk leadership tools and a whole lot of inspiration. Until next time, lead with heart, grow with fire, and always remember, the chair is yours. Now own it.